That looks neat. So as you can see, it looks like I'm reading to you from the classroom, which is pretty cool. I have a background that I just took a picture of the classroom and try to put it on as a virtual background. And it works. I look a little bit weird. You can see like green in my hair because of the background is green, but it works. All right. So I am going to explain to you that we just read chapter 19. And if you remember chapter 19, Allison was invisible. Nobody could see her. So she wasn't sure what was going on. And she ended up on the 19th story with Ms. Zarbs, who we know there is no Ms. Zarbs. So, and by the way, that was called chapter 19. I'm not sure if you remembered that, but the next chapter is also chapter 19. So let's find out why it's called chapter 19. A Wonderful Teacher, this one's called. Allison was still on the 19th story. The desks were arranged in a cluster of 4. Allison sat at a cluster with a girl named Virginia, a boy named Nick, and a boy named Ray. But Virginia looked old enough to be her mother, and Nick looked like he should be in high school. Ray was a couple of years younger than Allison. Miss Zarbs is a wonderful teacher, said Virginia in a sing-songy voice. She's the nicest teacher I ever had. She's the only teacher you ever had, said Nick. So, she's still nice, said Virginia. I've always gotten A's. Aren't you a little old to be going to school? Allison asked her. You're never too old to learn, said Virginia. No one ever leaves Miss Zarb's class, said Nick. How long have you been here, Virginia? Virginia thought for a moment. 32 wonderful years. I've been here 9 years, said Nick. But she always gives us good grades, said Virginia. That's true, Nick agreed. I've gotten all A's since I've been here. Me too, said Ray. And sometimes I answer all the problems wrong on purpose. Where were you before you came here? Allison asked him. Ray shook his head. That's funny. I don't remember. I don't remember where I came from either, said Virginia. Well, I do, said Allison. Suddenly, she couldn't remember either. Then it came to her. Mrs. Jewell's class. And Rondi was in the class, and Jason and Dana and Todd. She named every member of the class, including all 3 Erics. She didn't want to forget where she came from. If I forget where I come from, I might never get back, she thought. Did you say there was a girl named B.B. Gunn? Asked Ray. Yes, said Allison. B.B.'s a very good artist. My last name is Gunn, too, said Ray. I wonder if we're related. Ray, no talking, please, said Miss Zarbs. Now, everybody, please take out a pencil and some paper. I want you to write all the numbers from 0 to 1,000,000 in alphabetical order. From 0 to 1,000,000, asked Allison. She couldn't believe it. Don't worry, said Virginia. If you run out of paper, Miss Zarbs has more in the closet. Allison stared at her in horror. But it will take over 100 years, she said. So, asked Virginia, what's your hurry? Allison started to work. It was bad enough having to write down all the numbers from 0 to 1,000,000, but she couldn't imagine how she'd ever put them into alphabetical order. 1 came before 2, 3 came after 1, but before 2, 4 came before 1, 5 came... Don't worry, said Virginia. Even if you miss a few, Miss Zarbs will still give you an A when you're finished. 7 came after 1 and before 6. 8 came first. Allison couldn't think of any number that would come before 8, so she wrote it down. She also knew 0 would come last if she ever got that far. But then she'd be older than Virginia. I'll talk to Louis at recess, she thought. He'll save me. When's recess? She asked. Well, there is no recess, said Ray. We're not allowed out of the classroom. What about if you have to go to the bathroom? What's a bathroom? Asked Virginia. And we don't eat either, said Nick. We just work all the time. But we never have homework, Virginia said cheerfully. That's because we never go home, said Nick. We get a 2-minute break every 11 hours. But don't worry, said Virginia. Miss Zarbs always gives us good grades. Miss Zarbs walked around the room checking everybody's work. Excellent, Ray, she said. Very good, Virginia. You're doing wonderfully, Allison. You get an A for the day. Big deal, thought Allison. She had to figure out some way to get out of here. It was clear that Virginia, Nick, and Ray were all too far gone to help her. Are there any other new kids in the class? She asked. Ben's new, said Nick. He pointed Ben out to her. Ben appeared to be about Allison's age. She was glad about that. When the 2-minute break came, she went over and talked to him. Are you Ben? She asked. No, he said. Oh, said Allison. I was looking for Ben. Well, that's me, said the boy. But you just said, my name's Mark Miller, said the boy. But for some reason, everybody calls me Benjamin Nushmut. There's a Mark Miller in my class, exclaimed Allison. I know, that's me, said Mark. I'm Mark Miller. No, I mean my other class, said Allison. What other class? Allison thought for a moment. I don't remember, she said. After putting numbers in alphabetical order for 11 hours, her brain had turned into spaghetti. Time's up, said Mrs. Zarbs. Everybody back to work. So I think we are figuring out that she's like in a time warp or something, because she's like on this floor that isn't supposed to exist with people that aren't supposed to exist. Like BB Gunn's little brother Ray and Mark Miller, who is being called Benjamin Nushmut. So we'll have to find out. You're never going to believe what the next chapter's number is. This chapter was number 19, right? A Wonderful Teacher. The next chapter is also number 19. And it's called Forever is Never. And it will be about Allison as well. So 3 chapters are about Allison, and they're all chapter 19. So we'll find out next time what that was about. Okay, see you for now.